What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing the predictions for UFC 292, the main card only, because I mean obviously if I talk about all the fights it's going to be a very long video. I'm only going to be talking about the fights that actually been announced. So there's only right now 4 fights. I believe the fight with Cody Garbrandt and I believe his name is Malley Rodriguez got canceled. That fight is off and they're trying to look for a replacement, and that will probably be on the main card. That fight, not really too big of a fan of that. You know, obviously Cody Garbrandt, if he was to come back, that's interesting because Cody Garbrandt, one of the bigger names in the bantamweight division. But with that being said, this fight card is ass. It is terrible, and obviously it was at one point one of the best fight cards that the UFC could ever put on. They had Chito Vera versus Henry Cejudo. They had, I believe, obviously the main event and co-main event stayed the same. But then you had Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary. And then you also had, I believe, there was another fight that was also, Rob Font versus, Song Yadong. Those were some great fights for the main card. That was going to be a very good fight card if those fights did not, obviously fall through. But now this fight card is not looking as good. We're going to start with the first fight, though, that we're going to be talking about is Marlon Chito Vera versus Pedro Munoz. Obviously, they still have Chito on the fight card, but now he's fighting, Pedro Munoz, obviously a lesser name. It would have been a lot better if he was fighting Henry Cejudo. I would like to see that fight. That fight is definitely very interesting. But this fight is still pretty good. Don't get me wrong. This is still not a terrible fight, but obviously a step down 100%. I got Chito Vera winning this. I think Chito Vera, to me, is, he just has the knockout power, especially in the last few years. He's definitely became like a power puncher in this division. I think Pedro Munoz is going to leave himself open, especially in the later rounds. I think Pedro, obviously, to me, is going to be the aggressor, but that's going to be the detriment to Pedro Munoz. I think he's going to get himself caught. He's going to probably try and come in, and then something about Chito Vera is that he's a really good counter puncher, and especially when it takes him a little while, but this is a 3-round fight. We also got to remember that the last few fights that Chito Vera's had has been 5-round fights. This is now a 3-round fight. He's going to have more sense of urgency, and I believe that he will have that sense of urgency during this fight, and he will get the knockout in the second round. I think in the second round, he's going to put the pace, and he's going to find Pedro Munoz probably with a clean, maybe a hook, or something like that, maybe a kick down the middle, because, obviously you saw what happened between him and Dominic Cruz. He was able to find him with a head kick. And obviously with Frankie Edgar, he was able to, with an up kick, he was able to catch him with an up kick right at the end of the third round, which pretty much that he was losing that fight, by the way. And if that didn't happen, he was going to lose the fight, because I had Frankie Edgar up 2-0 going into the third round. But I think that in this fight, I think Chito Vera is going to pretty much kind of do the same thing. In the first round, he's going to kind of keep it steady. Maybe he'll throw some shots at the end of the round, maybe try and win the round. But then he's going to have that sense of urgency, because now he's in a 3-round fight. He has to, do something to win the fight. And I think he's going to be able to catch Pedro Munoz, and I think he's going to knock him out in the second round. But I could be completely wrong. I mean, obviously, I could be wrong about all of these fights. Pedro Munoz is a great competitor, and to me, I think he's going to be more aggressive than Chito, because Chito's not really the aggressor of any of his fights. It takes him a while for him to get going. He never really got going in that fight against Corey Sandhagen, but Corey Sandhagen is a different animal. He's just a whole nother level compared to Pedro Munoz. But I got Chito Vera winning this fight by second round KO. The next fight, a fight that I wish was a lot better, but it's not really, because you got Ian Gary, who obviously I really do like because his fight style is fantastic, versus Neil NyQuil Magny. There's a reason why I give him that nickname. He puts everybody to sleep. Neil Magny is one of the most boring fighters in all of the UFC. I don't understand why people, I don't know if people would like him anyway, but it feels like that we have to give him some sense of respect because he's been fighting forever. But I'm here to tell right now, I don't. I think he's a boring fighter. I think, especially his last fight was very fucking boring. Nobody wants to see Neil Magny fight on a main card. Let's just be honest. Maybe it was a main card on a fight night, and that's pushing it. But to be at a main card of a pay-per-view that is going to be over $80, are you out of your mind, UFC? You got to be insane to charge people that amount of money to watch Neil Magny fight. You're out of your mind. But that's besides the point. Neil Magny is boring as hell, and he's going to do what he usually does. He's just going to try and hug Ian Gary up on the cage and try and get a takedown, because that's what he's going to do. But I got Ian Gary doing all of us a favor, and I got him knocking him out. And I got him knocking him out in the third round. I think he's going to catch him. I think the first 2 rounds, I think the first round, I think Ian Gary is going to win that round. I think the second round, Neil Magny is going to have some success, boring everybody to sleep. And then the third round comes, and then he's going to, obviously, I think he's going to put him away, and he's going to catch him with something clean. You know, one of his combinations that he does. Bro, Ian Gary is one of the most entertaining guys in all of the UFC. He is fantastic to watch. His striking is crisp. He's becoming one of my favorite fighters. And obviously with this stuff that he's doing with, you know, him climbing up the rankings and stuff like that, I think it's very entertaining of what he's doing. And I really do hope, I think we should all hope that Ian Gary wins this fight, right? I know some people might not like him just because the way he is. He's maybe a little cringy to you guys. I don't know how you feel about Ian Gary, but for me, I think he's entertaining, and I think his fight style is fantastic. Obviously a striker. Everybody loves a good striker, right? And Ian Gary's that. Neil Magny, Neil Nyquil Magny puts everybody to fucking sleep. You know what I mean? I'm going to have to fucking take some Adderall before I watch this fucking fight. You know what I mean? I'm going to have to drink some coffee, you know, fucking 2 shots of espresso so I can watch this fight. Because you know how Neil Magny fights go. Them shits are boring as hell. But that's besides the point. I got Ian Gary winning. I got him doing all of us a favor and knocking out Neil Magny. That's my prediction. Now, let's get into the co-main event. Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos. I believe that's her name, Amanda Lemos. Co-main event, obviously, for the, I think it's the strawweight championship, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is for the strawweight championship. My apologies. This fight is actually definitely very interesting. Obviously, it's not as interesting now because it's the co-main event, but it's like, fuck, man, I want something super exciting because obviously, to the casual, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a casual, but I'm not really too honed in on Amanda Lemos all too much. I guess you could call me casual. I don't really give a fuck. I just wish that something in the co-main event spot is definitely more intriguing than this. But still, this is a great fight. I mean, it's a title fight. It's 2 title fights on this card. But Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos, I got Zhang Weili winning this fight. I think Zhang Weili is going to get a finish, like a TKO victory in the later rounds, like in the 4th round. I think it's going to be maybe back and forth, especially the first 2 rounds. And I think Zhang Weili is going to find her tempo, and she's going to be able to take control. And I think in the 4th round, she's going to get a TKO victory and put Amanda Lemos away. I think Zhang Weili is one of the best fighters in the straw. I mean, she is the best fighter in the strawweight division. Let's just be honest here. She is. And I think that she's going to win this fight. I think, obviously, there's not really anybody on her level except for maybe Rose, because Rose has 2 wins over her. Obviously, the second fight is controversial to some people. Maybe some people thought that Zhang Weili won that fight, but it's very close. I think I gave it to Rose when I first watched it, but I'm going to go with Zhang Weili winning this one. In the main events, Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. This is going to be a very interesting fight. I think Sean O'Malley is definitely in for a very rough fight for him, though. I'm not going to lie to you. He's going to have to put away Aljamain Sterling early in order to win this fight, to be quite honest with you, because Aljamain Sterling is one of the best grapplers in all of the UFC, and I do have Aljamain Sterling winning, but before we get how I think he's going to win, I mean, it's kind of obvious. Sean O'Malley obviously still has a chance. But the thing is with Sean O'Malley, even though he has pretty good power, he will have to hit Aljamain Sterling with something clean. And Aljamain Sterling is going to be the aggressor in this fight. I think he's going to try and make this an ugly fight for Sean O'Malley. And that's what Sean O'Malley doesn't want to do. I think that Sean O'Malley, you know, the way he fights, I don't think it's going to bode well for him. I think that he's going to struggle with somebody like Aljamain Sterling, who's going to try and get close to him, and then it's going to end up probably be on his back. And I think in the later rounds, especially when he gets gassed because of all the, you know, this pressure that Aljamain Sterling is giving him, I think he's going to get submitted in the 3rd round. I'm going to go for a 3rd round submission, maybe 2nd round submission by Aljamain Sterling. I'm obviously rooting for Sean O'Malley. I really do like Sean O'Malley a lot. I think he's one of the most entertaining fighters. I think he's great. His obviously his personality Could be here and there. Like, he's a little cringy, but, you know, it is what it is. We all have our fucking personalities, but I mean, at least he's entertaining, right? Aljamain Sterling, not a big fan of the guy. I don't think he's entertaining. Obviously, in the past few years, he's definitely made a name. So he's been growing a personality for sure, and I give him credit for that. But I'm obviously still rooting for Sean O'Malley regardless. But Aljamain Sterling, I think that the grappling is going to show in this fight big time. That I don't think that the takedown defense is going to be all that great from Sean O'Malley. I think that Aljo is his top-tier grappling to be able to take down a guy like Henry Cejudo. What do you think he's going to be able to do to Sean O'Malley? Sean O'Malley is nowhere near the level. He's nowhere near the level of a Henry Cejudo when it comes to grappling or takedown defense. And Aljo was able to take him down. So think about it. It just makes sense. If he doesn't get caught early on, he's going to just suffocate him, and then he's going to submit him. And that's how it's going to go. I'm going to probably say a rear naked choke. Probably he's going to get on his back, pause, and he's going to submit him. And that's how the fight is going to go, in my honest opinion. Still, very close fight, because definitely Sean O'Malley can definitely put him away. We have seen Aljamain Sterling get knocked out. Marlon Moraes did that to him, and he knocked him out cold. Can we say that happened? Possibly. But I'm going to go with Aljo. I'm going to go with the favorite here. And yeah, that's my predictions for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.